I didn't actually know what dating was like as a single trans man until halfway through my first year of university. Mm-hmm. And at that point, it went from being the question, it went from me having to tell people what my pronouns were to having to consider, oh, do I tell this girl that I'm trans now? Or right. How do I tell her? It's not about expressing my identity because I wasn't on testosterone. It was about, do I share this with this person? That's why dating for me is difficult, because now it's like the opposite. Right. I'm right back in the closet. It feels like it feels like I have to come out to almost every woman that I have affectionate feelings for.
Right. You had mentioned something in audition about that, how you sort of dropped the hint early on.
Oh, no, or just that I try to bring it up as soon as possible for me. Like, I haven't done that before, where I don't like being with people when they don't know that I'm trans. It makes me really uncomfortable. And I'd rather just feel safe and, with a communication on the table. Being single trans person is probably one of the biggest accomplishments in my life, because growing up, you just grow up, I think, with, for me at least, a lot of like issues with self-esteem and those types of things, and so it's so easy to try to find a partner to help you through all of that. And I transitioned with a partner as well. And having been single for the last couple of years and had many different experiences, I like to just tell people as fast as possible, and the guys that I find who don't do that struggle with dating a lot more, because it's like the way that it's said, where it's like you go on a few dates with a girl and then you're like, okay, we need to talk tonight. Right. I got something really important to tell you. If you don't like me anymore, I need you to know that's okay. Like, that's always been the bad way to do it. Yeah. I feel like it freaks people out. So I try to just go in with a whole, like, I'm trans, normalize it, you're in or you're out, and that's just it. And that's taken a lot of mental effort to, like, just be cool with it.
I could go with like 2 hours about how shitty dating is. But to condense it a lot, I have like 3 main points. One, as a trans feminine person, our experiences are vastly different from trans men, because coming out to men, it's still like a legal defense in like 48 states that like, I didn't know she was trans as a reason to kill her. Like, that's like a legal defense that's not banned. Only 2 states ban that. And like, of like the 370 trans people that were killed this year worldwide, majority of them were trans women of color and street workers. So men find out they're trans and get very violent. So it's a different field, first of all. So for me, for safety reasons, I used to not say I was trans on like Tinder. So I'd get guys who like talk to me or even say like, I'm so pretty, blah, blah, blah. And then I tell them I'm trans and they say terrible things to me. And then they unmatch me. So now I have it in my bio, but when I have it in my bio, they don't talk to me like I'm a person. They are, right away it's, do you have a dick? And then I say to them, that's not really relevant for you just getting to know me. Like, I haven't even said hi to you. I don't even know your like last name. And they were like, that's just the dating world, get used to it. Like, very condescending. And in my opinion, if I have trans in my bio and you're okay with that, it shouldn't matter to you like until like right before, when I tell you how I prefer to have sex. Like, just like every person in the world has a way they prefer to have sex. Absolutely. And it's not really talked about until usually even in the moment, what they like and what they don't.
Sometimes it isn't even talked about in the moment. This is the problem with sex, is we don't say what we want.
With trans people, it's like we're expected to lay it all out. Like, do you have it? Do you like to use it? This is me. Do you have it? Do you like to use it? Do you do this? Do you do that? And it's like, well, if you're fine with me being trans, it shouldn't be discussed until we're in the bedroom, because I don't just pick up a guy off the street and sleep with them. And then also my third main point is that there's people who are fetishized trans people. It's a politically incorrect term, so I'll just say trans girl chasers. Who like girls, are like the opposite of people who are revolted by trans girls. They're obsessed with trans girls for their penises. And it feels just as gross. And they still ask you what you have, and if like they really want to sleep with you, and it's gross. So I'm 20 and I've never been in a relationship. So I've yet to find a guy who is not on either end of that spectrum of being grossed out by me or being obsessed about that one singular part of me.
Does it make you feel forced to only stick to the trans community?
Yeah. I mean,
like you'd rather date somebody who also is.
I'd rather date a trans guy, to be quite honest.
Because then you know they'll understand.
Yeah, I mean.
To some degree. Like,
yeah. Yeah, I mean they'll understand as close as it can be to understanding what it's like to be trans.
Right.
And
is there places for you guys to go? Are there
Not
apps?
Really. No.
Like nothing. Does anything exist yet?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there is Grindr.
Right.
But there is a trans subsection.
Okay.
Is there? I thought that was only for gay men.
No. You have to get into it.
Okay.
So
I've never heard.
I don't
know anything about dating apps.
You could so on Grindr you could categorize yourself as trans, and then there's a filter where it's just trans. I don't actually totally recommend it. So it's either trans people or people who love trans people, and that invites a lot of chasers.
Right.
So I actually don't recommend it for meeting cis people, but you can actually find some really cool trans people on there.
Right.
I found it kind of like difficult, like how quickly it is for someone to get aggressive on either side of those as well. Whether it is someone who is like, what are you doing? I'm not gay. And it's like, there's nothing gay about this if it's me with a man, you know?
Right. Right.
But, you know, of course, they're automatically assuming what I have in my pants, how I perform, whatever. And then on the other side, I've had chasers who have literally like harassed me constantly, just being like, how could you know I want this?
Right.
And, you know, like, what, like, it's just crazy. It's mind-blowing.
I find that too, like even being male in the dating world, but as an out trans person, it's not the same type of aggression from the chaser side when it comes from, I would say, cisgendered women, but I definitely experience it. There's such a high level of curiosity that there's like an overbearingness to want to hook up because they're comfortable with their bodies and they just like really want to get to sex as fast as possible. And like I find that really difficult, not just because there's a pressure for men who are like, men always want it, and this idea that like, you know, that I'm always just gonna want sex because of that. And then also I feel like there's not a lot of understanding for the fact that, you know, as a trans person, it's taken years to accept my body, and I still struggle with that at some points, and so to immediately just jump in the bed is just not, I'm not gonna come to it with the same type of way that you might think.
If it is a one-time experience, if I've been out, if I'm going to, you know, a club or a bar and I take a girl home with me, I find that it's not important for me to share that if it's in that one instance. However, I do like to go in, and not even just because I'm trans, I would also like somebody that I'm affiliating myself with in different senses to have a wide range of knowledge about the LGBTQ community. Even if I'm not trans, I would like them, you know, I wouldn't be able to date a person if they weren't accepting of all people.
You guys are trailblazers.
Thank you.
That's what you want.
But the problem with being a trailblazer sometimes, or like, you know, it's like you have all the arrows in your back.
Yep.
I mean, it's like there's been pain on this journey.
Of course.
You know, and it's like I hope to find a day where trans people are granted the same type of love and respect as other people. You know, that'd be great. That'd be amazing to be able to just go on a date with someone, for them to know that you're trans and have it not bring up all these questions and all their identity. You know, like I've dated women before who are now lesbians dating women, and they didn't want to date me because they didn't like being straight and stuff, right? And it's like dealing with those two sides, that not only are you in a very complicated identity yourself, but that your identity somehow impacts the other person's sense of self, their sexuality, you know, it's all of these things that I think is only really trans people deal with that.